Welcome. Oh, there it is. Welcome to the live stream of your PDA Positively Disagreeable podcast. Coming to you live for any of y'all tuned in, hopefully. I gotta say, I know we're not on time, but this has got to be the closest we've ever got.
I think this is actually a record. I'm pretty sure this is a record.
We're getting there. A couple more weeks. I think we might hit the 3 o'clock mark. It's possible. Yeah. Anyways, if anybody is watching, we of course really appreciate it, especially sticking around for our tardy behavior. We are doing a live. Not live, it's always live. We are doing a special broadcast today for my birthday. I meant to drop something on the site for anybody paying attention, but it's my birthday, so cut me some fucking slack. I didn't do it. And I wasn't going to do the show today, so I'd have time for the many arrangements that the people I know and care about set up for me today. No,
the mail.
Yeah. No, just to hang out and do the birthday stuff. But a couple of things, as I like to say, got in my crawl this week. And since I get upset when that happens and like to bitch about it, and I have a podcast, I decided I was going to do that this week for my birthday. So that's what we're doing this week. So we're only doing one topic. Although I will say, I think
I'd like to mention that I thought that was exactly why the podcast was created in the first place.
To
give you a place to like bitch and complain about whatever you wanted to. I'm pretty sure it's not special because it's your birthday.
a talk show can have more than one reason. I don't, look, I did absolutely for a while want to, show people that it's ridiculous that we can't like talk about difficult things without hating each other. That is something that was very important to me, which is why I made it about that. Because you guys know when we were starting it, there were other ideas of topics that would have been fun, and I would have liked to do that. And all of them were based on the fact that, yes, I thought I talk a lot. I know about a decent amount of stuff. I'm pretty good at articulating myself. And I've been doing that for free with nobody paying attention for 40-something years now. Why not get on something and see if some fucking people might listen to me do it? And
I'm also positive we're still doing it for free, but
right now, but everybody starts doing it for free unless you're like already fucking famous when you start doing it, and then maybe
this is true.
You get paid. But everybody's got to start somewhere, and look, would it be great if we had 1,000 people watching by now? Sure. Is it likely that would have ever happened in 5 episodes? No. And the truth is, if you get on the site, not a lot of people are watching live, but I've noticed like every week we seem to have 2, 3, 4 more people that are going on and checking it out. We're getting a couple more people signing up to the group every week. Yeah, everybody. Thank you. We really appreciate it. I guess a friend of mine from work, I won't say his name because I don't know if he wants me to, found out that I was doing it. And so we got off of work because, you don't want to obviously put those things together. But off work, I was telling him about it. He thought it was really cool. And so he is going to sign up for the group and start paying attention now. So,
nice.
We're growing. We're getting there. It takes time. Can't become famous in 6 weeks most of the time. It's not normally how it works. Most people have to work pretty hard for it. So I'm not disappointed. And the truth is, you're right. I have a fun time doing it every week, even if nobody is watching. So, it's not like if this doesn't turn into anything, I feel like I've wasted a bunch of time, because I would do this with the two of you if we got together every Sunday anyways. So
right, that's true, honestly.
Yeah. This is, if the three of us we're hanging out at my house, this is pretty much what we'd be doing.
Can't get you to shut up. Nope.
So, I get to hang out with a couple of my friends, talk about shit that's pissing me off, which is what I like to do, and hopefully get some people to listen to me doing it. It's perfect. Anyways, Dot's just tuning in. And so I'm explaining to everybody we're doing a special. It's going to be short so I can get back to my many birthday celebrations today that I have. And but I wasn't going to do the show. Saw a couple of things during the week that really got my bubble going, got my my blood pressure rising and decided we do a little 1-segment special. And what I was going to say is the truth is it is kind of almost all the stuff we normally do in one short segment, because it's going to be, I'm going to take about 3 different topics and combine it into one. And one of them is because I watched a new documentary on HBO. So you got one show, 3 topics. It's perfect. It totally fits the format. So we're just going to do a little different this time. So anyways, Dot, you with us? You working on it? Dot's working on it. Can you hear me, brother? Because you're on mute. You can hear us? I think he can hear.
Can hear you.
All right, cool.
There he goes. There he goes.
So I'm not sure. I've kind of communicated on our group text a little bit of what's going on today. Luckily, I got a couple of co-hosts that are willing to just go along with me, so that made it pretty easy. But essentially, we're doing one segment, and what it comes down to is I watched a documentary about, I don't want to use the wrong Woody because the other one's a great guy that we shouldn't disrespect it. I've done that a couple of times by accident, so we'll be careful and not do that. There's not a lot of Woodies, we realize. So if you fuck up, you're really hurting a pretty decent guy when you do that. So Woody Harrelson, great guy. That's not who we're talking about, okay? No, I watched.
I think the guy from Toy Story is also a Woody.
Yeah. Other good Woody, right?
I don't believe he's ever touched an underage person.
Exactly.
In that way, at least in that way. He has been in the vicinity of underage people.
Yes, but he's supposed to be. Yeah.
He's supposed to.
Yeah. All right. So here's the thing. So I watched this, a documentary on HBO. I think it's called Allen versus
Mia Farrow.
Allen versus Farrow, because it's the court case, obviously. Allen, because when they separated. Anyways, we'll get into that. But that's the name of the documentary. It's essentially about Woody Allen and his relationship with Mia Farrow and her many children, which you gotta love that woman. Not only does she have a lot of kids, but she took advantage of her wealth and also adopted a bunch of kids that needed help, which is pretty awesome. And so I watched that. We're going to talk about each thing individually, but just to kind of give you a broad idea, I watched that, got really pissed off about that. and then over the weekend, I was watching, what was it? What's his name? The show used to be politically incorrect, and now he's on HBO. Bill Maher, who I don't always agree with, but I love. Think he's great. Love his attitude. Smart. Well, here's what I really like about him. Whether you agree with him or not, he's not one of these I'm Republican. He is Democrat, but if a Democrat screws up, he calls them out on it. Republican screws up, he just has an opinion. He says it. He doesn't care whether people are going to like it or not. I respect that. I do often agree with him, not all the time. And he's funny. And I gotta say, with shit being as depressing as it is these days, I do enjoy often getting my news from somebody who's funny, because it makes it go down a little bit softer. So Bill Maher, and my favorite, I gotta say, is John Oliver. He's so fucking funny. Dude cracks me up. His show is great. So I love watching and getting information from those guys. I typically feel like they give their opinions, but the information they give, I never have a hard time doubt. You know what I mean? I feel confident that they're saying truthful information and not making shit up, and it's funny. So anyways, not the point. I was watching Bill Maher, and his first guest was Sharon Osbourne, who I've always kind of liked. It's not a follower around or anything, but on the Osbournes, and she's married to Ozzy Osbourne. You either have to be crazy or pretty fucking awesome to do that. Yeah, or both. I think that's why I like her. Is she's kind of the perfect combination of crazy and really cool and patient at the same time. Anyways, I've always thought she was pretty cool. And she just got kicked off of the talk, not even for what she said, but for giving her what he
she was racist.
Huh?
I believe she's racist.
She gave her support to somebody else who said something and got canceled, and that alone got her canceled from the show, which seems a bit fucking ridiculous. We'll get into that. So, kind of, here's the broad topic, right? Cancel culture. We've all been talking about it. Is it a really unique topic to get people to tune into my new show? No, everybody's fucking talking about it. I get it. But it's an important one. I don't think anybody really realized the precipice that we are coming upon, where we're either going to realize that we're losing our fucking minds and pull shit back to the way it should be, or go in the other direction and get to a place like a society that I don't think any of us actually want to be a part of. And we just don't realize that's where we're going yet, or at least some people don't, or some people don't care. I don't know. But I mean, it's just fucking ridiculous. So here's the outline of what I'm trying to say here, right? I think you got two arguments for most people, right, with this topic. One is that it's crazy, right? It's getting out of hand. Good people are getting hurt. We need to do something about it. And then the other side of it is kind of like, look, you don't want to get canceled. Don't be an asshole, right? And if it was that simplistic, I would say I don't necessarily disagree with either one of those, except it's not, right? Because yes, I think that the internet and social media have given voices to people who nobody had to listen to before. And I think that's awesome, right? And it does some good a lot of time. I don't think cancel culture as an idea is a bad thing, right? I think that there are some shit that people should get kind of tarred and feathered for, metaphorically, when they do it, right? There are some really horrible things, Bill Cosby, for instance, like people should not support Bill Cosby anymore. That's horrible shit. You know what I mean? Like there are people that like go well past the like, I have the right to be an asshole. I have a right to have an opinion. I have a right to say what I think. Like everybody should have the right to do that. You don't get to like drug people and rape them while they're sleeping. Not that that's funny, but I mean, obviously that's not okay. Right. So there is like this double-edged sword of like, I think cancel culture can be a great thing. Like I like the idea that Bill Cosby is making less money off of us than he was before we realized how shit he was and canceled him, right? But then there's the other side of it, which is that, my opinion with the whole, it was Pierce, what's his last name? I can never say it. Morgan. I was thinking something else. I can definitely say.
I'm backing you up pretty good here.
Yeah, I appreciate
it. Today.
Names is something I've always like. I know who the person is. I can never pull a name in my head for some reason. Lots of things I remember. Names are never one of them. I've had managers for like long periods of time that I've referred to as sir and ma'am because I can't remember their name after working for them for like 6 or 7 months. Anyways, I don't do good with names, the point. Pierce Morgan. Look, obviously what he said was way more polarizing than what she said. So I think, in my opinion here, like the Sharon Osbourne thing, like I don't understand how anybody can accept this. Like I can't understand how she can just simply say he's a good friend of mine. I think he's a good person. She literally even said, I don't agree with him, but I think he's entitled to his opinion. Like the fact, and look, disagree with her on that. You know what I mean? Like I'm not even saying you have to think she's right. I think she obviously is, but have your own opinion about it. But taking her off a show that's literally based on the idea of people talking about what's going on because she says that is fucking insanity. Like, it's just crazy.
It's actually called The Talk.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. The show's called
She
Talk.
got in trouble for talking.
Right.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. I mean,
there.
Victor, I'm kicking you off the show because you just kind of interrupted me while no. I mean, to me, that's kind of what we're talking about. I mean, how ridiculous is that? Like, it would be me kicking you guys off for arguing with me on a show about debating people. I mean, what the fuck are we doing here? This is crazy.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me. The Pierce Morgan thing, look, I think to me, that's still insanity. I still don't understand it. I mean, it's not as crazy as what happened to her. But I mean, again, the guy is a hothead who is rude and says mean shit. I mean, that's his stick. He's on a show where they're paying him to fucking do that. And me and Victor talked about this a little bit last night. Admittedly, the first few things I saw about it, I didn't realize. I've seen a lot of people talking about it. Very few of them I heard talking about the mental health issue part of it. I looked up the.
It's one of those things that has a little bit of issue in race, and then it becomes all about race. Like, you have to go to the source to all these things, because once it's been said over to someone else and said over and commented by someone else, it becomes something different, and it's been made race.
I agree with that. You should always know what you were talking about. The thing that me and Victor were talking about last night is what I was talking about was the people reacting and was literally commenting on them. And so, yes, I certainly wasn't a bad idea to watch the original interview, but I'm commenting on what they're saying, right? And so if they didn't realize that that's what some people were upset about and were still upset about it, they're even worse than everybody else is, because at least that's somewhat of a topic that's worth talking about. Again, I watched the interview, and what he specifically said was, I have the quote somewhere. It's something to the, I don't
believe a word she says.
Okay, but
I wouldn't believe her about the weather.
Yeah, that's the end of his comment. The beginning of his comment is, who did you go to? What did they say to you? I'm sorry, I don't believe a word she says. I think it's not that hard to read into that. Him saying, you're saying you went to Buckingham Palace and said that you were thinking about killing yourself, and they told you essentially they didn't give a shit. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I'm British. I've grown up in Britain around the royal family and Buckingham Palace. I'm in the news media. I've interviewed people. This is somebody who has more knowledge about this shit than any of us does. And he's saying, I don't believe that if you did that, that would be their response. And he might be dead wrong. That might be exactly what they did. But especially him, especially in his position, I think he has every right to be a British citizen who says, I don't believe that they would do that. That's not the Buckingham Palace I know. That doesn't make sense to me. And the fact that she's saying that makes me not want to believe anything that she's saying. That is a reason.
That's kind of ridiculous.
That's Buckingham Palace from his perspective, not from hers.
Right. I'm not saying he's right. I'm saying he has the right to say it.
Hold on. It's cutting in and out because I'm in motion.
Right.
So I'm catching parts of it. But when you look at it, it's like you go through something through your eyes. You don't go through it through someone else's eyes. So their experience is going to be different.
Right.
And I think that's just the basis of it, to where there could be complete care. And now, mind you, there's certain things you say. He's a British citizen and things like that. Yeah, they may have love for their own, but she's a fucking outsider.
Right. Listen, but here's
not even about race. Not even about race.
Right.
No, look, an outsider. So they probably truly don't care about outsiders given the history.
Well, that was actually in the original interview. It's not even that. It's that she goes to HR for Buckingham Palace, and HR says that she's not actually an employee of the Buckingham Palace, so they don't even know how they can deal with it. They have the HR for the royal family. It's not for the royal family. It's for Buckingham Palace. You see, you have the royal family, then you have organization that supports the royal family.
Right.
Well, the
Right.
HR was for the
Staff
people that
and
support
everything.
the royal
Right.
family.
Right.
So they don't even, apparently they don't even have any way to help people that are actually in the royal family.
According to her. And again, look, here's my point. I'm not even saying I don't believe her, right? Maybe that is exactly what happened. I'm just saying I believe somebody in his position who knows more about this shit than I do, by the way. But even if he didn't, like, just has the right to, like, it's like if you said, Biden came out, did an interview and said, I'm gonna bomb Pakistan tomorrow, and I said, I'm sorry, like, he's the president of the United States. I've seen him on TV a bunch of times. I don't believe that he said that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll go back and look. But I'm saying right now, even without even looking, that seems ridiculous to me, and I can't believe that he actually said that. I don't have the right to say that. Like, I'm like, you have the right to. I'm like, how do I not have the right to say that? You know what I'm saying? Even if I'm wrong, I can't think that you might not be telling the truth about something that doesn't add up to me. Like, how do we not have the right to say that anymore?
Well, it's not even that. It's like you still have to look into it. I mean, if somebody says that the president said he's going to bomb Iraq, it would be a good idea to look into it.
Agreed.
And to hear that this person said it.
Yes, it would.
But he was like off the bat saying that this person is lying, and not only is he saying that she is lying, but she's lying about a mental health issue. It would be similar to, and I'm going to say similar, and watch out. Here we go. It's going to be similar to like someone saying, well, she said she was raped. I don't believe her.
I disagree because
what?
I disagree because, in my opinion, what he's saying is, who did she go to? Like, what were their names? What department were they in? Again, that's not saying, like, I don't believe in mental health issues. That's saying I don't believe that Buckingham Palace doesn't have anything set up and would just be completely okay with the fact that a princess has such bad mental health issues that she's thinking about killing themselves, but we're just going to wash our hands of it and not care. And again, I don't even care if they do or not, because that's the point of this. Isn't whether it's true or not. The point is, does he have the right to not think it's true and to voice that opinion in the moment? Like, it doesn't matter that he's wrong. That you have the right to voice an opinion that most people think is wrong.
Nigga, like,
but not. He also has a responsibility, because he is on the air, to not diminish other very important issues.
All right. Okay. So to your what you're saying is, it's like saying I got raped and saying I don't believe you. What if instead, because I don't think that's an exact comparison, what if instead they said I got raped, I went to this specific police department that you're familiar with, and told them I got raped, and they said, hey, we don't have anything here to deal with that. Sorry, we can't help you. You know this police department, right? You've lived around the corner from it your whole life, and you say, wait, what? Who did you talk to there? What department did you go to? Who was the actual officer? Because I know that police department, and that seems crazy. Like, I can't believe that. Like, I can't believe that you went there and told them that, and they weren't willing to do anything about it. That's not the same thing as saying I don't think you got raped. That's saying what you're saying about a police department not caring that somebody got raped doesn't add up to me. That seems crazy. And if you're willing to say that, I'm gonna have a hard time believing anything you're saying, because that's so ridiculous to me. Why? How could you even say that? Again, maybe that is what happened to him, but if you know that police department, you don't have a right to think that can't possibly have been what happened.
You have the right to do it. You have the right to believe whatever you want to believe. That's fine.
And
but
say it.
To voice that opinion on national air, you have to take responsibility for what you say.
He's not.
You see, that's the difference between everyone believes that
he's not an investigative journalist.
You absolutely have the right to do whatever the hell you want to do. Go ahead and do it. If it doesn't hurt somebody else, go ahead and do it. You have the right to do whatever the hell you want to. But those things that you do, those actions that you take, still have repercussions.
Okay, but other than him getting
for those things.
Okay, So let's take that a step further. Other than what happened to him, what are the repercussions of the very rich princess who now lives in the United States and get all the help that she wants of him saying that? Like, what was going to happen to her or anybody else because he made that comment? Nothing.
Because he made that comment? Yes. Yeah. He made the comment that about mental health issues, about somebody actually going for help for a possible for suicidal thoughts, for suicidal tendencies. That is the whole, I mean, that puts shade on the whole suicidal.
But like, you're saying it
mental health people.
Right. But if she had said that and he had said something like, it's impossible that she could be suicidal. I don't believe that people get depressed about stuff like this enough to be suicidal.
I don't believe a word she says. I don't even believe her about the weather.
Right.
So I mean,
coming after that statement, right? Like, again, if you only take that one part of the statement, it sounds really bad. If you play out the whole statement, which is him showing like unbelief at the fact that she went to Buckingham Palace and they didn't do anything, and then because of that, I have a hard time believing anything she says. That's very different than I have mental health issues. Well, she says she has mental health issues. Well, if she says that, I can't believe anything she has to say. That's very different than I went and did this very specific thing. This is the very specific reaction I got to that. And you saying, I can't possibly believe that could have happened. And if you're willing to say something that can't possibly be true, how am I to believe anything that you're saying? Those are two different things.
You're absolutely right. But then if you also go down that road of thought, you also have to look at all the other comments that he said about Meghan Markle. And like, granted, I have not looked into all of them, but I have seen quite a few.
Yes.
And they are all extremely negative. So extremely negative.
Like, why does Meghan Markle deserve some like protection against
She doesn't,
media?
But what I'm saying is if you're looking at his attitude towards a person or towards this comment or whatever, you have to look at the rest of his comments.
Who he always is. I mean, to me, that's all the more the argument. Like, he's literally paid to be the guy that comes on and is an asshole. Yes, and now we're saying, well, you're an asshole, get off the show.
We've talked. Okay. Now, this is something I mentioned last night, but this is something that I will talk about now is, now I don't remember his name, but he was an NFL. He was actually a Republican,
right.
Public personality.
Right, that shouldn't have happened either. And he's a douchebag too.
He's kind of a douchebag. Yeah.
Was a douchebag.
And damn it. He commented on the Vikings quarterback. What was his name?
Moon.
No, not Warren Moon.
No, you're right. Culpepper?
No, not Culpepper. It wasn't even the Vikings. It was Philadelphia Eagles.
I know what you're talking about. I see you're asking me to come up with names. I know exactly who both of those people are.
Donovan McNabb. It was Donovan McNabb. And Rush Limbaugh is the original guy.
Yes.
Rush Limbaugh was brought on to NFL whatever network to be a commentator, and he was brought on because he's a controversial person. I mean, that's just who he is. Right. And he at one point said that Donovan McNabb is a completely overrated quarterback, and that one of the reasons he's overrated is because he's black.
Right.
And that everyone was
people give him more credit than he deserves because he's a black quarterback, which is rare, and so people want to talk him up.
So that was deemed a racist statement, and
right on par with the kind of shit Rush Limbaugh would say, which is
exactly
right.
And he was pulled off the next the next week. He was
right.
off.
But in my opinion, you're just giving another example of something that shouldn't happen. And I fucking hate Rush Limbaugh. Like, I hate his guts, and I used to listen to him religiously in the morning when I was young and kind of stupid and didn't realize that he had like not even passing resemblance with the truth on his show and would just say whatever the fuck he wanted to get his point across. And then I originally realized that and then more and more hated him and hated. I hate that guy. I hated him. I hate to say, like, nobody deserves to die, but I'm like would almost say it was almost worth him dying for us not to have to listen, like for him not to be able to get on the air and spit the horrible fucked up shit he would say every day. You know what I'm saying?
What I'm saying is not, okay, first of all, I'm saying that he may have had a point. He may have had a point, but He did have a very point, because I do
He
think
did have a
Donovan Brown
point.
was a very overrated quarterback. Now, if that was not necessarily just because he was black, that was because he was throwing to Randy Moss.
Right.
That's why he was
well.
overrated.
But yeah.
So, but I think he did. I think because he brought that out, and that's kind of a racist thought. He did have to take responsibility for his thought, and it was valid that he took action.
It's not. Look, it's not a racist thought. It might not be true, okay, but the idea that somebody can be treated different because of their color of their skin, talking about that doesn't make you racist. Like that is something that happens. Like, we're gonna, just because it has to do with race and the race it has to do with is black, that makes it racist. Like, come on. It might not be true, but is it possible that somebody if there's a Chinese quarterback, a Japanese, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, that's my point. It doesn't even matter who the race is. If you have somebody from an ethnic background that doesn't normally play that position, it's extremely rare. And even though they're not that great, they're getting a bunch of fucking publicity. That could be because they're the only Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Middle Eastern. Yeah, I mean, Jewish. It doesn't fucking matter. Pick a thing, put it in there. That might be why they're getting a lot of publicity. Now, was he right? I don't know, but he could have been like that. How is like he might, like, to me, maybe he's wrong. That doesn't make it a racist comment. I think Rush Limbaugh might be racist, but that comment isn't.
It feeds into racism, because you're not supposed to feed that personal dog, I guess, that personal idea.
You're not supposed to speak the truth if it has to do with race.
No. It's what you're supposed to. This is a person, just like what I said. I don't believe he was overrated because he was black. I believe he was overrated because he was tossing to Randy Moss.
So then that's
an actual thing.
Why can't that just be what happened? Why can't then somebody just say you're a fucking idiot? It's not because he's black. It's because he has the best fucking wide receiver in the NFL. And no, he's not a great quarterback, but he gets a shit ton of yards, and that's why people are talking about it. It doesn't have anything to do with him being black. Boom, done.
That's what he should have said in the first place, and that's what the actual.
But he didn't think that
should have been.
He didn't. Well, he didn't think that though.
Which that's why it feeds into racism.
But I don't. Racism is suggesting that somebody is less than because of their race, right? That they can't do something that somebody else can do because of their race. It's holding somebody back because of what they look like. It's saying unfair, like outright lies about them because you don't like them because they're black. If you're just commenting on the fact that something is happening because of somebody being from a certain racial background because you think that's an accurate fact, that's not racism. That's just commenting on something that has to do with race.
Okay. Yes and no. Yes and no. That's the only thing I'll give you, is that yes, talking about race is not racism, but not believing a quarterback could be as good as possible because of his race is racism.
But that's a huge assumption to make, that he is thinking that.
That's what he said. Then that's not necessarily not necessarily what he said, but that's what he implied. That's what he implied.
I don't think that is what he implied. You're now saying that
he said that he was overrated.
He wouldn't be a good quarterback because he's black, which is not what he said. What he said
he was overrated. He said he was overrated.
Which not right. But
that people thought that he was better than he was.
Right.
And that was because of his race.
Look, nuance is an important thing, right? Like, we need to behave as smart as we actually are, okay? And we get so sensitive about things that when things start to brush up against something that we're sensitive about, it's like, throw the flag, game over, what the fuck? That's not what happened here. And we are smart enough to know the difference between somebody saying, look, that guy can't be possibly as good as everybody says he is because he's black, and saying a very different thing that sounds a little like that, but I think people are pretending he's better than he is because he's black. And those are two very different things, no matter how close to each other they sound. They're very different things. And we can't pretend they're the same.
It's very, very close.
They
It's
sound
very close.
alike. They mean two very different things.
Well, it's not Democrats, Republicans. I don't even know. I can't even say that it's Republicans. It's just people that are, I don't want to say racist, but have those type of tendencies. One of the things that they say is the NAACP is the same thing because they're giving scholarships to black kids because they're black. That's racist, or that in their minds, that's racism. You know, it's what is it called? It's like
affirmative action.
Yeah, affirmative action. So that affirmative action is reverse racism, is the idea.
But they're not. Look, affirmative action is an important thing, in my opinion, to try to offset an imbalance in our society because of something that happened that was unfair. Is the word I'm using, but it obviously is not a big enough word to just I mean, really fucked up, horrible thing that happened to a group of people that now have an imbalance to the people that didn't happen to, and so a lot of people think that the right thing to do is to do things that, if you're being honest, are unfair to some other people to offset that balance.
That's right. Yeah.
So all that is true, and intelligent people have the right to disagree about whether it's the right solution to that problem or not. That doesn't make them racist. It just means that they don't think I don't agree with them. I think they're wrong, but they're entitled to have that opinion. They're entitled to talk about that opinion. That is my whole point. We have come to a point where, with cancel culture, which is my point of all of this, we've gone from a place where, like, people who didn't have a voice, that had to just sit around while people were doing actually horrible shit and getting away with it, and people, minority groups, people without a lot of power, people without a lot of money, couldn't really do anything about it, right? Now, a lot of those people can. That's a fantastic gift. That's something that we should use and take advantage of, right? The problem is we are taking advantage of it, like not using it
over advantage.
Yes, I mean, look, it is important in an open, free society that we all have the right to sit down and talk about the things that are on our mind and express our opinions, even when they are not popular. If for no other reason than, if you look back in time, most of the shit that we take for granted is right and wrong today was an extremely unpopular opinion 10, 50, 100 years ago, and now they're backbones of our society. If we are canceling people for saying shit that right now we think is completely wrong, these could be people that I don't think they will be, but I don't know what's going to happen. The people 50 years ago didn't think that the shit we believe now was right either. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know who is going to come up with some new amazing idea or thought or belief, or who's going to lead us towards who we're going to become in the future. And in order for those people to get to talk about that shit, we have to let assholes say the shit they want to say too. That's part of the fucking thing. Like, that's how it works. It's very important, and it's been the backbone of this country forever. Like, we've always allowed that, and it's been instrumental in our growth at becoming a better country. And we're burning that shit to the fucking ground, like, every day with this bullshit, and telling people that, look, this is my point. I'm not saying you're wrong about any of the shit that you said. Some of the stuff I disagree with. I don't know if you're right. That's the point. Like, I have my opinion. You could be right, even if I think it's the dumbest shit you've ever said, and I don't think any of it is. But even if I felt that way, that doesn't mean you're wrong. You know what I mean? I can be wrong. Like, these are just what I think. I'm not any more important than anybody else is. I think I know more than maybe the average person does, but that doesn't make me right either. It just means I have more shit to come up with my bullshit with. I mean, we all have to be able to sit down and do what you and I are doing right now. And we are taking people who we are literally paying to do that, and when they do it, saying, oh, you know what? We didn't give you any reason to believe you couldn't say exactly what you just said, right? But we're going to fucking fire you for it. And here's the thing, right? Here, all right. Now, going back to the other side of this argument, you have Woody Allen. I keep pausing to make sure I say the right one, who, like, 20 something years ago, raped his like 5 or 6 year old. It's not funny. I shouldn't be laughing. Raped his 5 or 6 year old daughter, right? Everybody, like, it was a formal investigation. The police said, I'm sorry, the prosecution, after the police investigated, said the only reason that we are not indicting him is because we don't want to make the 5-year-old testify. She's really shook up. We don't want to put her through it. Otherwise, we would file the indictment and we would try to, we would try to prosecute him and send him to fucking jail. We have no doubt that he did it. Like, all the evidence adds up, right? We just can't do it without her testimony, and we're not going to put her through that, right? This happens, like, I don't even know. Somebody look it up. Like, she's got to be in her late 20s.
Years ago, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. 17. Yeah. So nobody gave a shit. Like, nobody gave a shit that happened, right? Everybody assumed that he didn't do it because they like him so much, and he makes these great movies, which fucking suck, in my opinion. Like, obviously, everybody.
I've never actually been a fan of his movies or his type of
look,
comedy.
The masses disagree with me on that. I don't see the appeal. I just don't fucking get it. He's a weird, goofy guy in every fucking movie he makes. Like, I
like Mighty Aphrodite, but that's probably because I like Mira Sorvino.
Yeah. Everybody's worked with the guy. He's made billions of fucking dollars. He's had, what we looked it up last night, it was like 25 hit movies or some shit that he's released.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. I think he's got like 38 movies that he's put out. Like 25 of them.
And in New York, up until like a year ago, he was like fucking royalty. Like, the city revolved around the guy. It was fucking disgusting. And then, like, a year later, he leaves. Okay, so just for anybody who's not like, knows this story, okay, he starts dating Mia Farrow, Mia Farrow, right? Starts dating Mia Farrow. She already has. I should have gotten more. It's like 3 of her actual children, and then like 4 or 5 children that she's already adopted. Right?
It's 2 kids. This is, and I only got this. I don't know a lot about this.
Yeah, but you and I were talking about it.
But I did talk about it, and I did try and look it up yesterday and this morning. And so, from my understanding, Mia Farrow had 2 kids from a previous relationship, and 1 child is actually Woody Allen's biological child. And then she adopted because they were never actually married.
Right.
2 other children that were girls from Asian community.
No. So when they got together, she had her 2 children from the first guy married. I think they were married, but she had already adopted like 3 or 4 kids. So she already had like 6 of them when they got together. And I know this because the part that I'm about to get to later on down the road is the fucking 19-year-old girl he marries that was like 17 when they started hooking up, which was his girlfriend's daughter at the time, right? Was one that she had already adopted before they met. Then there was another boy, and I want to say 2 older ones, but don't hold me to that. So she had her 2 kids. I want to say 4 adopted kids. Then, yes, they never got married. She wanted to have more kids. She talked to him about having kids. He didn't want to do that at first. So they adopted a girl who was not Asian, was a white girl, because it's the girl, right? And then he became unbelievably close with her. They were like inseparable. And then they had a kid together that was a boy. Then she went on and adopted like 5 or 6 more kids after that. So people can have different opinions. The girl had some money and was a good mom and like used all that to help out kids she thought needed help. So mad respect. I think that's awesome. But that's neither here nor there. So the girl that they adopted, her and Woody Allen were like inseparable. And even before the really bad shit happened. Like people were saying it didn't look appropriate. They spent way too much time together. She would like run and hide from him when he would show up. People would walk in the room and they'd be like laying in the bed in their underwear together. They, walk by and they'd be standing on the stairs and he'd be showing her how to suck his thumb. And then, on more than one occasion, somebody walked into the room and had his head between a 5-year-old's legs. And then he would say like, well, I've never had kids before, so I don't know how you're supposed to show affection. Like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like at fucking 8 years old, I knew that's not how you, I mean, who the fuck even says that? That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard of. He like goes to see a shrink that can teach him how you're supposed to appropriately interact with a fucking 5-year-old, you sick fuck. And then he ends up raping the kid in the attic, right? This all comes out and everybody believes him. Nobody believes him. All the facts add up. Nobody believes him. Fine. I think that's really fucked up, but that kind of shit happens. Sometimes people like somebody so much they don't want to believe it. It's one accusation. I think it's fucking crazy. I think you look at Woody Allen once and say, okay, yeah, I believe that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you and I were talking about this last night. This isn't Bill Cosby. Like one person comes out against Bill Cosby and you're like, up and until all that shit happened, Bill Cosby was this amazing man that like did all this amazing, wonderful shit for all these people and helped them out and like had these unbelievable morals and all this shit, right? You're like, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense, right? That I understand. Yeah. More people have to come out, and then finally you're like, I guess he isn't the great guy you thought he was. Woody Allen was never the great guy. Like that was never him. Like he was never some great guy that had these. I mean, he was this creepy old dude that made movies about old dudes sleeping with 17-year-olds. That's like almost every movie the guy's ever made. Like, how do you have a hard time believing he's a creep? But they do. Fine, whatever. Then, like, less than 2 years later, he like they don't get married yet, but like he breaks up with his girlfriend to start dating her at that time, I think 18-year-old daughter. And everybody's saying that this has been going on. And this all comes out because his girlfriend finds naked pictures of her daughter on her boyfriend's bedside table.
Hey, right.
And these are facts. Like, this isn't anything anybody's disputing, right? This isn't like, oh, I don't believe that. I mean, they moved out. They're fucking married. Like, everybody knows that happened. And still, nobody thinks, oh, this is a creep. Like, everybody's still fine with Woody Allen being like the quintessential New Yorker. Apparently, quintessential New Yorkers rape children and marry fucking high school students. I mean, obviously they don't. So, anybody listening doesn't have to write me letters about how great New York is. But I mean, come on, what the fuck? This goes on for 20 years. The poor girl then like comes out like 10 years later, comes out 15 years later. Nobody believes her. Everybody trashes her mom, talks all this shit about her, that she's lying, her mom brainwashed her. Meanwhile, the police, the prosecuting officer, they're all saying, no, that shit happened. Like, we don't have any doubt that it happened, right? Still, nobody believes them. And then finally, thank God, with the Me Too movement, she comes out again. And now finally everybody believes them, right? And now people are like, and I will give credit where credit is finally due. Like, he can't make a movie in the United States anymore. Nobody will, no actors will work with him. Nobody will, studio will make it. Nobody will produce, nobody's distributing it, right? He still does it overseas all the time, but nobody here will do it. A bunch of actors and actresses that had worked with him like spoke up, said that they were disappointed, felt bad that they had done that they shouldn't have, and donated their salaries from the movies they had worked in with him, which is cool. I mean, it would have been nice if it, hadn't taken, it would have been nice if when you gotten hit over the head with a fucking frying pan, you would have said, ouch, then, instead of fucking 17 years later. But hey, so this is my point. How is it that happens? And we have this, not for 17 years, but for much longer than the last 12 months, 15 months, right? We have social media and all these people that can come together and get people fired and all this shit. Nobody says nothing about that. But Pierce Morgan says he doesn't believe a princess. Fire that motherfucker. I mean, what the fuck? That's crazy. And here's the thing. I don't really give a shit about Pierce Morgan. Never really have. Sharon Osbourne, I think, is cool. She's going to be fine. She's already rich as fuck, and other people will work with her. Like, it's not like she's never going to work again, right? She got fired from one show. I don't even think canceled is completely accurate, although I think that is what people were trying to do, right? But this shit happens to real people all the time. Like people who don't have millions of dollars in the bank. You know what I mean? Like people that rely on the money from their jobs, people who can't get by if the community around them is picketing their house and calling them horrible names that they don't deserve to be called. Like there was a story, it might have been like a year ago. I don't remember the specifics of it, but like, you know, some girl that like writes off ads or some shit, like was getting on a plane in Australia and like commented, like posted some like 4-word statement or something on Twitter, got on the plane to fly back to the States. You know, plane ride from Australia to the United States is like 14 hours or some shit. She lands in the United States. She's like lost her job, been evicted. Like everybody hates her. She didn't even fucking know what's happening. It was like, it was like a complete misunderstanding. And you know, look, to your point, Pierce Morgan is an asshole. So I think that's what we've loved about him. So it seems weird to fire him for that, but he is. I mean, that's what he's known for, right? And he's rich and famous, and he's gonna be fine, right? But more often than not, when this shit is happening to normal people, it's happening to people that aren't pieces of shit, that say like one stupid thing, often not even realizing how stupid what they're saying is, right? And then that's it. Like they didn't mean what everybody thought they meant by it, right? But you know, the fact that they've spent 10 years being really good people and doing great shit doesn't fucking matter. They posted one sentence on Twitter. What else do we need to know? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
there was an incident about someone who was going to get the blues award of the year or something, blues artist of the year or something. Kenny Wayne Shepherd. 17 years ago, he owned a replica of the General Lee from the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
And because they found pictures of this General Lee that he owned, they actually rescinded the nomination, and he wasn't allowed to go, and he was barred from the actual award ceremony.
Yeah. Yeah.
So of course, he got online and said that, you know, hey, I like the show, and I thought it was a wonderful show, and I was, you know, real happy, of course. And then he also said that, you know, he has no racial intents about it, and that even that later on he still had the car, but he put it in storage. He didn't have it out where his main cars were. He put it in storage, and he covered up the General Lee, that he doesn't have the actual flag, the rebel flag on the top. He doesn't have any. He doesn't agree with any of those things.
Right.
Those.
It's just a cool car.
It's just a cool car from a cool show.
Right. And look, I don't think. Look, it's not lost on me that, like, you know, even if even if you don't support the Confederate flag, like, you know, it's probably smart to recognize that having a car with it painted on the roof is not a good idea. I mean, it's going to inflame, and rightfully so. Like, it has some horrible condensate, you know. But like,
I can never be president. Not that I was headed that way, but I can never be president because I used to use it as a bandana. It was because I went to Robert E. Lee High School, and it used to be their flag. Now it was taken away, and rightly so. But I was, you know, 17, 18, 16 at the time, and I thought it was cool. It is a cool looking flag and thing, and I wore it on. I was in the what is it called, ROTC, so I wore it as a bandana on some field trips, like when we went to canoeing or rafting or something, and I wore it on my head. So there are pictures somewhere with me wearing the rebel flag on my head, and so I no longer can hold office because I was an idiot when I was 17 and didn't realize the ramifications of the things that I were wearing
Right. This is what I'm saying. Like,
I also wore a concert shirt for Doomy for BBD. That may not have been the best choice at the time either, but you know.
I don't know that. I mean, that's a little disgusting. I don't know that, like, I mean, let's remember those
just saying, like, same kind of
Johnson shirts.
Decision making stuff.
Right. Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, and that's what I'm saying is like that's what's happening a lot now. Now people are getting canceled for shit they did like 20 years ago. And it's like, all we can ask of anybody is to become a better person and, like learn from your mistakes and become better. Right. And now we're canceling people who actually have done that. Like,
yeah.
This is what I'm saying. It's getting out of control. And to people that are saying, look, if you don't want to get canceled, don't be an asshole. First of all, you don't have to be an asshole to get canceled. But again, like, not going, like I said, part of, wanting to get the good ideas is having to listen to the shitty ones. And that's absolutely true. Right. But like the whole point of this show is that 99% of the time, somebody who disagrees with you about something that you like, I mean, it can be the thing you're most passionate, feel the strongest about, right? And the fact that they disagree with you just, makes you fucking blow up with anger and hatred, right? Whatever it is, it doesn't matter, right? Okay. Here's the thing. 99% of the time, if you actually take the time to just have a conversation with the person that you are assuming is like, Hitler reincarnated or, whatever, you'll find out that a lot of the times they don't feel that way because of horrible shit, right? It's because of some shit that you didn't go through, some experience you didn't have, and it doesn't make them right. Probably not. I don't, obviously I can't comment on a hypothetical conversation about nothing, right? But they could still very well be wrong and they could still very, very well be ignorant, but they didn't get to that from a horrible place, right? They got to it because they don't have as much knowledge as you do. They got to it because they've experienced some horrible thing that you haven't experienced that's, led them to think things they shouldn't think, right? I mean, who knows, right? But the truth of the matter is very rarely, and I would say even with pretty horrible fucking people, if you actually have a conversation with them, they're very rarely horrible people. They're just normal people that have some horrible ideas.
Which is kind of nice. Well, not nice. What I'm talking about is a little bit nice. Movies have now gone into actually explaining more backstories for villains. No one is really the villain in their own story. No one is like 100% evil. They all believe they're doing something for a righteous reason, or a reason they can reason out themselves.
Right.
So
like
no one
psychopaths.
I'm just doing it to evil.
Psychopaths do shit because they're psychopaths.
God told them. Yeah.
Right. Or because they just like doing evil shit, right?
Yeah,
but normal people do shit that we all think is horrible.
You gotta put quotes. You can't actually say normal anymore. You have to say normal.
Normal people. Right. Well, I mean, that's the point of what I'm trying to say is who is fucking, I mean, like, that's what I'm saying is we all have some crazy shit that we think for some weird fucking reason, I think. Right. I mean, the truth of the matter is some of us are just smart enough not to say that shit. You know what I mean? Like some people are too scared to say it, right? Either way, right? But the truth of the matter is we all have some thoughts that the masses would not be happy with, I think, right? I'm pretty sure of. In fact, I've not only met a lot of people, but this might be hard to believe. I've had lots of deep conversations with a lot of people, right? Long drawn out arguments with people. And we all have some crazy ideas. Yeah, right. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. And like, but, so what? Like, again, most of these people, almost everybody, it comes from a good place. I mean, to your point, like that's the whole point of that Karate Kid series. is like the whole series starts off with the idea that the guy that everybody hates from the fucking movie is like, no, the other guy was the asshole. Like, he stole my girlfriend. He like showed up at a party we didn't invite him to and broke my radio. You know what I mean? Like, why does everybody, you know, like, he's the asshole, not me. You know what I mean? Like, why does everybody hate me? You know what I mean? Nobody thinks they're the asshole, even when they are. And if we can't give people safe places, here's the thing. Let's say you do adamantly disagree with what Piers Morgan said. I'd rather him be on the TV saying that shit and having to listen to what everybody feels about it when he says it. You know what I mean? Because otherwise he just goes on thinking about it, and people aren't there to say, hey, that makes you an asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like, we should be letting people say this shit and get it out there and listen to how society feels and responds to it so that they can question those ideas and think about whether what they're saying is stupid and crazy or racist or against whatever, right? Like, let them say those things.
Sharon Osbourne. Hold on one second. Sorry. Sharon Osbourne, she actually mentions like being more woke and being more understanding. I hate that word woke, I'm sorry. But being more understanding and learning and trying to grow as a person of how to, and we all have to do it because the rules are changing daily. Well, like, you know.
Yeah. I mean, look, here's the thing that all supposedly really woke people either don't want to admit or don't realize is that 100 years from now, you're going to be the asshole. I promise you. Right. Absolutely. 100 years from now, everybody's going to think, no matter how amazingly woke you are, you're going to be the asshole. We all are. In time, we all will be. I mean, look, I hate to admit it. I'm a very open person. I don't think I've ever, I mean, obviously some people are going to not agree with it. I don't know that I've ever had a real racist thought in my life. I don't think I've ever judged anybody poorly based on the color of their skin. I honestly don't.
I am not that secure. I know that there are things that I have thought when I was especially younger that can be used against me in a court of law.
Here's what I will say. I hated.
The problem is racism is so embedded in our society as a whole that it's very difficult to say that. It just is. It's not, and it's not because you're not trying to like change it in any kind of way. But
yeah, I've heard that argument before. I don't know that. I'm not saying that there aren't people who are being racist and not realizing it. I think that does happen, and you know, I understand the point of it. But I you know,
like 9 plates.
What the hell? This thing says it's muted.
Yep, I know. I keep getting feedback from him.
You know, I don't think it's impossible to be racist without realizing it, and I understand the paradox in saying that and saying I don't think I have. Look, you know, is it possible I have and I don't realize? Of course, that's fucking possible. The idea would be that I didn't fucking realize it, right? But I gotta say, in all the, you know, if anything, I will say this: as a white person growing up, being taught that white people were evil, I probably hated white people more than I should have, and I don't do that anymore. It was really important to me as a white person for everybody to know that, you know, I wasn't that, and I was disgusted by it, and thus I probably judged some white people that I shouldn't have. In fact, I know I did. That I know I've done. But
you see, that's my problem too. Is that I've probably taken part in that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say. I would say it would look, not that white people are the ones that have the big problem. I'm not suggesting that for a second, but I think it would be hard for almost anybody to say that they haven't given some thought or some feeling to some white people that wasn't unfucking fair at some point in time. Like that's acceptable behavior now. You know what I mean? Like, it just is. Yeah.
I don't know if can y'all hear me?
Right now we
Yes,
can.
we can hear you now.
It keep dropping in and out.
Yeah.
I can't see y'all at all. Am I
Yeah, we
dropping
can't
in
see
and
you.
out?
Yes.
Yeah, we can't see you.
My ear. No?
We can't see you,
can
but we can totally hear you.
My camera's on.
Yeah, it's black.
You might want to lower your radio though. No, not raise the radio. Lower the radio.
Where are you?
I'm outside at a broadcast. Can y'all see me now?
No.
Huh?
No, we can't see you. We can hear you.
Well, it's a block party for like children and food and kids and everything.
That's a good thing.
Like a community thing. So I was trying to go live and broadcast out here, but
yeah, that's cool.
I'm not getting
There's probably too many people there already broadcasting.
Yeah. Hey, if you want, like, I mean, you ain't really coming in, man. If you want to cut out, you can do that.
This sucks. Hello?
Hello?
Because I can hear y'all,
yeah,
but then I can't see y'all.
We can't ever see you, but sometimes we can hear you. and the music.
Yeah, we can hear the music more.
Well, I try to keep it on mute.
Yeah. Well, even that like is weird because it'll show that you're muted, and then all of a sudden the sound will come in for some reason. So just be aware that even when you think you're muted, you might not be, because there's been times when we can hear you when it's muted. So yeah, especially based on the conversation we're having right now. Make sure that you're being heard when you don't want to be. What were we saying? I don't know. Anyways, I'm just saying, look, it's getting ridiculous. And I'm telling you, we were talking about, have we ever been racist?
Oh, yeah.
Look,
and then we're actually talking about poor white people.
Yeah. Right. right. Exactly. Look, I think a lot of that shit is not fair. I mean, is it the end of the fucking world? No. I mean, compared to what a lot of other people have to complain about, is it worth making a huge deal out of? No. Is it right? No. I mean, like,
okay,
yeah. Hey man, I should text you. Hey, if you want to just do your thing, dude, like, it's cool.
Might be more productive for him to do his thing.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm trying to get y'all to see what I see.
Oh, I got you. Oh, yeah, all right. If it comes through, I'll tell you what, go ahead and mute it. You can hear us. If your camera comes up, we'll tell you.
All right.
All right. Cool.
It does sound like he's having a good time, though.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it sounds like it's a cool thing they're doing now. Oh, we can see you, brother.
Oh, I can see you. Yeah, we can see you.
Oh, but you're not moving anymore.
Oh, but it froze. It was nice. It was nice for a minute.
Oh, that's the other thing too. He like keeps leaving and coming back in. Normally, maybe Will's hosted. Maybe Will's letting him in. I was gonna say normally I have to let people in when they come back.
I imagine Williams probably already cut him off. If it was strictly up.
That's what it is. I'm like, why can't I mute him? I'm not the host anymore. That's why I can't do anything. All right, look. Yeah, I mean, look, I think the shit that, some of that shit is definitely not right or fair. Again, it's, there's a lot of shit going on, and a lot of shit we're dealing with is the fact that white people kind of get the shit in of every stick in every conversation, like the end of the world.
It was Marxism. I'm not sure which one, honestly, but it's either Marxism or socialism. It believes that the only way to get a perfect society is to actually have a really crappy society first. It's like the idea is like it's a suppressive society. Those people will actually rise up and take over, and it will become a better society.
Right.
What I like to say is it's a pendulum. It's really terrible. And then all of a sudden it swings over to the other side, and it's better this way. And
I
it
agree
keeps
with that
rocking
too.
back and forth, and I think that's what's happened. One of the things that someone had mentioned to me earlier was that 10 years ago we were doing what is it? Let your freak flag fly, where everything was kind of supposedly supposed to be acceptable. And we were in I hate doing Satan Democratic or Republic, but a more progressive ideal system where everything was okay. You do this, be whoever you want to be, do whatever. And then we swang back the other way with a possible president that we won't name at this point, where it was very strict what you can and cannot say, and who you were for, and whether you did have these ideas and you didn't have these ideas. And what was funny is there was also the
Ironically,
progressives.
during an unnamed president who said and did whatever the fuck he wanted.
Exactly. But don't get me wrong, the progressives of the time were doing cancel culture at the same time. If you didn't believe what they believed, you were no longer their friends, and to defriend them on
Everybody's always
Facebook.
done it. It's never been one side that's been guilty of cancel.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So in fact, I would argue. I mean, it's what used to be considered the progressive side that's way more guilty of it. I mean, Republicans are way more accepting of shitty behavior than Democrats are. There's no doubt about that.
Go ahead, fly that Confederate flag. We love you.
I mean, to the point where that, again, like that's what I'm saying is, I don't think like people want to act like cancel culture is either really wrong or really okay. And to your argument, like the pendulum, it has swung in both directions too far. It's not, I mean, a lot of it is way not okay. Some of it, like some people should be not getting away with the shit that they're doing. Like, and look, we really like, I think, this idea that like we set a rule, right? And you either break it or you don't, right? And this is not something that's easy to do that with. Like, who gets to decide that and why?
Yeah.
And, what makes them the authority on it, right? I mean, there, like shit that is getting people hurt, I mean, that's just not okay. We know that's not, like, we have laws against that, right? Somebody getting canceled for like, doing horrible shit. I mean, it seems like that's just, I mean, who needs to have a conversation about that? You know what I mean? Like, if you're raping people or, molesting people or something, like, you fucking lie in the bed you made, asshole, like,
okay. And at that moment and that point, I want to put in this little deal is that I don't know a lot about the Woody, what was the right name? I almost said Harrelson. Woody Allen. Woody Allen. The Woody Allen situation is that they did have a team of doctors either talk to the little girl or talk to someone else, and her story didn't quite match up a few times when
that's
she said
not actually true.
Okay, wait.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and they didn't talk to the girl. They talked to someone else. I can't remember, but yes. And then, like in 2018, her other kids came out and said that the mother was coaching them to say certain things about the father. Well, if you believe Wikipedia, it's just on Wikipedia.
Yeah, I'll explain why you're reading all of that and it's not true, but go ahead.
Okay. And so her other kids came out in support of the dad, I guess, Woody. And so two of the kids said they were coached, and two of the kids, and then the same two kids said that they were living the mother was abusive, and
it was the one he married. One of them is the one he married, just to be clear.
Either way, it does not seem like a good household to be brought up in, no matter what,
Okay, so I would disagree with that. She actually seems like a pretty amazing mother. There were two kids. One is the one he married and is still currently married to, and the other one
broke up. I thought she'd found another younger woman.
Nope, they are still married, and she's one of the two. That happened like a few months ago when all this shit started happening and he stopped being able to make movies and sell movies. And then after 17 years, she came out against the kid. Nothing prior to that, right?
2018 is what they say on Wikipedia.
What?
That those statements were made. That the children came in.
No,
came out.
Well, that's so okay. And here's the other thing that's really important to understand.
Let me go ahead. I actually found the thing. So let me read it. And this is exactly what it says. So I'm not coloring it in any way. It says, in 2013, Moses Farrow publicly asserted that Mia had coached her children into believing stories she made up about Alan.
You said 2018?
This is 2013.
Oh, okay.
In February 2014, Dylan publicly renewed her claims of sexual abuse against Alan. That's the one that was actually abused, allegedly. Dylan. In an open letter published by Nicholas Kristoff, a friend of Farrow, in his New York Times blog, Alan repeated his denial of the allegations. In May 2018, Moses published a blog post expressing his father's innocence, stating that I feel that I can no longer stay silent as he continues to be condemned for a crime he did not commit. Sony, which is the one that he married, Brevin, echoed these claims in September 2018 in an article written by Daphne Merkin. Both Moses and Sony alleged that Mia regularly physically and emotionally abused them during their childhoods. That's what it says on Wiki.
So I was wrong about the 6 months ago thing. It was further back than I thought it was. So it's been a few years. I thought it was a little bit more recent than that, but fine. Yeah, I mean, this all came out the last time the girl voiced this and all this shit started happening to Woody Allen. That's when the boy reclaimed that. So yeah, okay. So but going back to when it originally happened, none of the kids said any of that shit, right? The boy who's defending him wrote him a letter saying, I can't believe that you did this to me, and how could you do this to your son? And I don't even, because they were really close too before all this shit happened. Well, I should say they were really close until they adopted the little girl, at which point they weren't very close, not nearly as much as they were, right? He kind of just centered on the girl and didn't hang out with him as much, but still more with him than the rest of the kids. He was really selective of which kids he liked, which is weird as well. And then, so
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing either, but
I know
this is a terrible situation.
Right.
No matter how you paint it, these allegations and everything.
Here's the thing, though. Then he went back to Woody Allen, who has financially supported him now his entire life, right? He's the only one other than the one who's married to him who's ever had anything bad to say about the mom. And look, how many children is it? You're on Wikipedia. It's like 12 or something.
Oh my gosh, no, it's even more than that. Yeah, maybe it was 12. It was like ridiculous. Hold on, let me see.
It's a ton.
Yeah, it's like 14. I want to say it's 14. Let me see. Children 14 included Ronan Farrow. Actually, one is actually Woody's child, which is the Ronan Farrow.
Who is like, who backs his mom 100% and has 100% believes his sister. After years of not necessarily not believing her, but telling her, like, just get over it and move on, he's now a huge advocate of hers, as well as the other 12 of the 14 kids who have nothing bad to say about her. So it's only the one he's married to and the only other one he's financially supporting who has anything good to say about him or bad to say about her.
That does paint it a little different.
Yeah. And when it happened, he totally disavowed him and said, and didn't back him up at all. Plus, he, in his post, says shit like she made up stuff now, like years later, that she wasn't saying when it originally happened. If you go back to the police reports, the shit that he's saying, she's only saying now. She's been saying not only from the very first interview that she said, but in every single one that she made. She said the exact same thing. It says something about how there was a train in the attic, and he says that she just added that in to give it color. And not only did she say it in every interview, but in the police statement, it's drawn in the diagram, the train that she's talking about. So there's no doubt it was there. And he's saying she made that up because he knows it wasn't. He's also saying that at age 8 or something, he knows it didn't happen because as the man of the house, he kept an eye on her the entire time that Woody Allen was there that day, right? And if you go back to all the statements, not only does the kid say that he was off on his own and had no idea what was going on, Woody Allen says he didn't see that kid the entire time he was there and didn't even know he was there or some shit like that. I mean, all the shit is obvious bullshit. Not only that, but Woody Allen has a massive PR team that has planted bullshit stories throughout the years and given it to like really high level people like CNN, NBC, like major newscasting stations that even like a long time ago we thought wouldn't say shit if it wasn't the truth. We're just saying whatever the PR firm told them to say because Woody Allen was such a big deal and they just totally backed him regardless of the fact that it wasn't true. So a decent amount of shit that you see and read might not even be true at all because they constantly repeated stuff that there was no factual information to whatsoever. Like it's totally crazy. And I will say in defense of the layman or actors, I mean, like they were also seeing all of that shit. And so I mean, I guess that's going to give you some doubt and stuff, but they also were like the people spreading that shit, and making it sink in more and making people like us who had no involvement in whatsoever say, oh, it must be bullshit because all of these famous people, a lot of whom I'm telling you, like if you watch that show are people you respect. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not people that you're like, oh, I wouldn't believe a word that bitch said anyway. You know what I mean? Like these are like respected people that you're like, well, why would she say that if it's not true? Why would he back him up if he didn't believe? You know what I mean? Like, and yet now a lot of them are recanting and saying I shouldn't have said that, and it seems pretty obvious at this point. Blah 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 blah. And to her defense too, her mom, who every single time this kid has come out to tell her truth, right? Like, I will say, okay, one of the things I've seen about the whole Meghan Markle thing is that what he did wrong was she was speaking her truth. And by saying he didn't believe her, he took that away from her. I don't understand how, I mean, if you're speaking your truth, whether somebody believes you or not, doesn't take your truth away from you. And by the way, if you're ever going to speak your truth, be prepared for the fact that not everybody's going to fucking believe you because that's fucking life, okay? And you should still speak your truth and do what you need to fucking do. That's what happens. Not everybody's going to fucking believe you. That's life, right? But every time this girl got on and spoke her truth, everybody badmouthed her and her mother, and like horribly so, and made her life impossible. She can't act anymore. Nobody will fucking hire her. She only does foreign shit. She finally stopped acting and works, by the way, this horrible person for
who, Mia?
Yeah.
Really? I thought I read something that she had been working in
She worked not in acting. She works for some international relief program that's a big one that I can't fucking think of right now, and is huge and does like all this massive good work for in places that nobody's giving a shit about, and is a pretty fucking amazing person who gets shit all over every time this shit comes out for essentially standing by her daughter, even though the person she's making an accusation against happens to be a powerful, likable person.
Yeah.
That, by the way, she was in love with when all this shit happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, can you imagine? She loved this guy who ended up raping her kid and marrying the other one.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, this, no matter how you paint it, it's torrid.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing though, like for most of the kids, like they did, like he wasn't like a father to almost any of them, right? Like it was her. She raised them all, and they all had amazing lives, except for, you know, the two of them that Woody Allen was involved in. You know, like those are the only ones who had a fucked up life. Yeah, surprisingly. Wonder what the what would you call that? The the one, you know, the one reoccurring thing, you know, what's the one thing in common of the children who didn't live normal, wonderful lives? It's I'll give you one guess. All the rest of them had amazing childhoods and you know, have grown up to be well balanced, great human beings doing pretty awesome shit, except, you know, the girl that it happened to, the girl he married, and the boy who, you know, apparently, I don't want to comment, you know, but like apparently needed the guy that he had disavowed at one point's help enough to, you know, sell his soul and say whatever the fuck he had to. I mean, I hate to say that, but it seems like that's pretty obvious what fucking happened. One man's opinion, I could be wrong. I gotta say, I actually nothing this horrible, but like I have friends who hated a parent who they have, you know, stayed under the thumb of their entire lives because, you know, they weren't very successful people and that parent was. It's not that uncommon, unfortunately. You know, there's three I can think of right now who have on more than one occasion like been like, and I'll never talk to that motherfucker again. He's such a piece of shit. And then like 2 years later, they're living in his house and spending his fucking money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I hear that.
And those people's defense, their dad didn't do anything like, you know, I mean, like, you know, c'est la vie. That's between them. It's their dad didn't molest anybody or anything. They just don't like him. But regardless of how much they don't like him, you know, when they need him, they run right back to him. You know, I've seen that a lot. So it's out of 14 kids, it's not surprising one of them was like, I can either hold on to my morals or have a really rich, powerful guy do whatever the fuck I want him to.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I hear you. But also some of those kids are gonna have money whether they side with either parent. You know what I mean?
Most of them do. That's what I'm saying. Most of them are very successful and don't need either parent to help them out, which is why they're saying the truth, because they can do that and not have to worry about being cut off when they do it. You know what I mean?
But have they come out like after when they were children? I mean, I understand when they were children they were asked to testify, but have they come out in
Well, here's
support?
the thing. I mean, none of them were there when that happened, right? Like they have at times said like they saw some shit that seemed weird. They've said shit like when he would come to visit, the girl would like lock herself in the bathroom, but none of them saw him actually do anything. But
Which is common. I mean, yeah.
Right. But to my point, none of them are saying she must be lying. None think that their mom like told her to lie or brainwashed her. None of them are saying that their mom abused them or was anything other than an amazing mom that was always there for them. And, you know,
Well, then who were the kids that were actually there at the time?
there was a decent amount of them, but so it wasn't their house in New York. They had like a country home, if you want to call it that was like on a lake. And that's where
it looked. I saw it on the thing. It looks very serene. Looks like
right.
And nice house to be
for most
molested.
of the kids, it was. You know what I mean? Like most of the kids have a bunch of amazing memories out there. But he came out there, and this was like after some weird shit had happened, and they were like separating, and they were not, you know, they were purposely not trying not to let him be alone with him, right? And so her and a couple of her friends and her friends' kids were there, and the three parents left to like go to the grocery store and left him with like three professional babysitters who of which none of them, like, they're not, none of the moms are mad at them or, but like it was a big place, and like there was like fucking 17 kids there or something, you know what I mean? And she, like, for a 30-45 minute period, they couldn't find her, and they like were looking all over the place for her too, and couldn't find her. And then all of a sudden, like, I can't, that part I can't remember. I can't remember if he like just left and then she was upset, or if like they saw him coming out of the attic. It was some weird shit. And then they called the cops, and the cops came out and investigated it. So he was by himself with her for the entire time of the period that she's making the accusations about.
So it looks like the people that were kind of like of the same age. She was born in 1985. Her younger siblings were Ronan Farrow in 87.
A couple of years.
Thaddeus,
and that's his actual kid.
88. And Tam Farrow was older. That was her sister. And then Moses Farrow, which is 1978.
He's one of the adopted ones.
Right, adopted. Yeah. And then the other one was Summer Daisy Previn, October 1974. So the other ones are the twins that were older in 1974.
Yeah, no, if I like, my memory of it is it like her and her brother are the only ones that are like within a couple of years of each other. The other ones would be like 4 or 5 years older or younger than she is.
Yeah.
Yep. It's really fucked up.
Yeah.
It's really fucked up. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy.
So you're saying cancel culture is good in this term?
Yeah, absolutely. Right, absolutely. Like, let's let Woody Allen make as little fucking money as humanly possible moving forward. Not that he's already richer than fuck, but exactly. Make it as hard for him as humanly possible. I have this thing. I've thought about this a lot. Like, people have this thing like, should I ever watch the Cosby Show again? You know what I mean? And I get it. Like, it's kind of fun. Should I listen to Michael Jackson? So I listen to R. Kelly. Here's my, and this is I'm not saying I'm right. Like, my thing is, like, if it's gonna go to that person making money, I try not. You know what I mean? It's like I'm gonna try not to do that. I'm not gonna buy CDs. I'm not gonna buy movies if that motherfucker's still making money off of it. The
Makes
dude,
sense. I'm good.
if the guy's dead, if NBC is running a show and he doesn't benefit from it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I was telling my wife the other day, I was talking to somebody about Cosby episodes, and we were laughing so hard. Like, it was such a good show.
It was a very good show.
Yeah. So it
was actually one of the shows that brought my family together so we could watch it.
So funny and such good lessons. And so, like, it's like I tell myself, Dr. Huxtable is not Bill Cosby. You know what I mean? Like, he's a character, and that character didn't do any bad shit. You know what I mean? Like, I can believe in that character. I know the person who played him is a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? But the character isn't, because the character was written by somebody. You know what I mean? Like he didn't do any of that shit. And we know he didn't do any of that shit is because he's fake.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the only problem with that is that he's still also the producer of that. I don't. So
I will say, with the Cosby Show thing, I don't know if he still like. That might very well be true. And if that's the case, then
you're gonna have to strike it off your list.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because the truth of the matter is, if it's like being broadcasted on something, like, whether I watch it or not doesn't change whether the dude's making. Well, I don't know. I guess if we're still watching it, people are still paying for it to be there for us to watch. So yeah. So I guess we shouldn't. If he's still making money off of it, then my stance would be we probably should stop watching it until he dies. And then enjoy the shit out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it just goes to his wife.
It
goes to his wife, where he actually she actually helped cover up everything.
Did she?
That's I may be
I don't know that,
but I'm pretty sure
might be right.
I actually do believe. I think she was instrumental in getting one of the rape victims her scholarship to some thing or whatever.
Yeah. So, maybe it'll just have to be like generations, from now that get to enjoy it.
They get to enjoy it.
Because they're like really popular artists from a long time ago, like that did paintings, and so they were horrible fucking people. I mean, like really horrible people.
Yeah.
Still extremely beautiful art, and me appreciating that doesn't help that dead dude at all. You know what I mean? Like, why can't I don't care about the guy who made it. It's just beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, me appreciating its beauty doesn't help that dude at all if he's been dead for 400 years. You know what I mean? Like, who gives a shit at this point? It's just beautiful, Like, I think there are people that adamantly disagree with me. I think you can appreciate art and hate the artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think you should help the piece of shit, profit from it. But you can still appreciate. I mean, fucking Michael Jackson's songs are amazing. And it's not like he's singing about raping kids. You know what I mean? Like,
so it does kind of, well, the website that I'm on says that he does make it. He makes residuals from.
That doesn't surprise me.
I would imagine so too.
Yeah. Being convicted of being a piece of shit doesn't change your contractual rights to shit. I mean, it doesn't. Yeah.
I don't know. It does in the NFL. They started putting in those clauses. So if you're a piece of shit, you stop getting paid.
That's true. So yeah, we gotta wait until his his generation of the estate passes on, and then you get to enjoy that shit again. Unless it turns out his son was involved too, then we're fucked. Shit. I mean, Michael Jackson, who would, his estate was his kids. Obviously they didn't do anything. I mean, it's not like he had a wife or like.
We don't know.
Yeah.
At this point, who knows?
I think we do. I mean, I don't know, but I think I think publicly they do know like who his estate went to and shit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Then if it went to his kids, then no.
Wait, but he's still alive. He's still alive though, right? I mean,
you're talking about Cosby. I said Michael Jackson.
Sorry, I didn't see the change.
Yeah.
His daughter was a big recipient of his fortune. I don't know about the other one.
Maybe some of the Jacksons, but they're some of them.
I think he had one daughter and one boy. Yeah, I believe
Blanket.
so. Is that really? That's not that's not his name. That's like.
I think so.
That's his name. His name is Blanket.
It's something like that.
I thought it was all like crazy prince, king, emperor, something. Oh, that's not right.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Who is it? Somebody has a kid named Blanket. You're right. It's Paris Jackson, Prince Michael Jackson, and Michael Joseph Jackson.
Well, there you go. That one, she's actually getting kind of famous or whatever. She's, I don't know if she's acting. I think she's modeling or something. Yeah, Paris.
Who? Blank name.
And still, I'd like to get the DNA results of those too, because like he like had kids with like some no name white lady that had like no like connection to him at all or anything, and he just
Prince was called Blanket.
Oh, well, there you go.
But it wasn't his actual name. That's just who.
Is that the baby that he like offered to the press? Is that why he
I was going to say it's the way reason I never forget it is because he's covered in a blanket when he's dangling him off the fucking balcony.
Yeah.
God, that guy was a mess. Oh man. Talk about complicated, man. Jesus Christ.
There's another cancel culture we need to talk about.
Yeah. I canceled the fuck out of that dude too. Shit. He was a
no
sick
more Thriller. No more Thriller for You. No more Bad.
I mean, because people will say it's not. He had a really bad child, but that's why that's how they all get fucked up. You know what I mean? Like people don't become child molesters because they had a perfect upbringing. You know what I mean? Like
that's the deal. Is that child molestation is actually passed down.
Yeah. So that almost nobody would be guilty.
Yeah. It's one of those things, and I've heard it talked about too. Is that the only way that you can feel better is by doing it to somebody else and making them that person or whatever.
Right. Well, it normalizes it more, right? So you're not so weird because it's what you're doing as well, and
it's
yeah. No, it's fucked up.
It's your birthday.
Yeah, I know. I gotta get going. We went 45 minutes over my hour, so.
Really? You talked for longer than you thought you were going to?
I know. I guess it was
such an unusual situation.
I felt special on my birthday. Oh, I gotta do this before I go.
And I'm saying how it's no more special than any other day.
This is one of my birthday presents from my oldest daughter.
Nice.
Totally. Oh, the shit always backwards. It fucks with me. Totally her idea. She designed it herself. Full credit. And my other daughter's present that was her idea hasn't arrived yet. So next week I will be taking some time to discuss that. All right. Let's see if I can. Tell me when it.
No, that's just your ass. Okay. That would still be your ass. There you go. Okay.
Yeah. Right, can you see it? Yeah. Is it in or not? Hello?
I can see the top, not the bottom.
Top, not the. Oh, great. That's gonna. Wait. Hold on. Yeah, that'll be better on the knees. Wait. Top, not the bottom?
That might help.
This way or that way? Better? Can you hear me or not?
I can still see the top, not the bottom. But it says
why can't you?
Debate, not hate.
Yes. You can't hear me? What the hell is happening? Hello? Why can't you hear me? Oh, mother
Debate,
F.
not hate.
Yes. Can you hear me now? Hello? Hello? What the? Hello? Oh, I bet it's this. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now. Did you not hear me at all?
I could hear you, but the whole time I'm like, can you see it? Is it too high? Is it too low? And you're not saying any. I'm like, what? Hello? What am I? No, it wasn't your fault.
It was exactly. No, actually, I don't. Maybe, was it not my fault? Because my headphones shut off.
No, it's my headphones.
Okay,
there's like a kink in them. There's a kink in them, which I just realized because I'm like, we were just talking. What? Why aren't you responding to me? What do I need to
do? Well, if no one saw that or saw it says debate, not hate.
Yes, debate, not hate. Again, yeah. So all on our own. So very impressed.
I said that first, though. I
you did
mention that it was my actual. I'm. What is it? Copywriting that?
Oh, was it?
No,
nice.
I'm verbally copywriting it.
I remember us having the conversation. I will. I don't remember it, but I will concede the credit. Good job.
It recorded, so good.
Okay. that might be recorded. Before we were live streaming, we were still recording. So yeah. So I'm gonna go back and check. If it's not, I'm fucking recanting.
I don't see you putting that much effort into it.
Yeah, no, you're almost certainly right about that.
So I'm gonna take this one, and this is just gonna make it mine.
All right, I'm out. I'm going hang out with my family. Y'all have a good one.
Enjoy your birthday
next week.
Yep,
guys. Everybody's listening. Give us ideas.
We need ideas to talk about.
Yeah.
We need movies to watch.
Yeah, I mean, look, we can come up with them, but it would be really cool to debate one that you guys want to hear about. Would be awesome.
And we'll say your name on air, and
give you credit for it.
Man, put in a comment. We'll say your name on air too if you want to.
Yeah, we will.
Don't mind.
I'd be happy to either make sure that you're like ready to comment while we're talking about it, and or we could probably even send you, if you want, a Zoom invitation. You can come on and talk with us. That'd be awesome.
Yep, absolutely, that'd be awesome. That'd be great.
Yeah, really cool.
I'm watching our live on Facebook throughout the broadcast. So if you have a comment, then we'll mention it. Adam usually watches the mobile chat rooms.
Yeah.
Then he'll if you comment while we're talking, we'll bring that and talk about that on air and air your comments or complaints, or you just don't like Adam's hat. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, whatever grabs your fancy. What is all of this?
Did you just now look at the mobile app? Is that what happened?
No, well, I left to look something up, and I'm going back, and there's like a bunch of stuff posted on here that doesn't seem to have anything to do. It looks like my Facebook page, as opposed to maybe it is. Oh, when did I get a red border like the page? Like our page has that red border. I get a red border. Oh.
There you go. That happens every time. Yeah.
Anyways.
I do that constantly, but normally in my headphones.
Yeah. Anyways, yes, I stepped off to look something up, but I keep the live chat thing open. If you guys chat, we'll bring it up for sure. So participate, man. That's the whole point. We really appreciate all of y'all that are logging on and watching and doing what you're doing. But if anybody wants to participate, that's the point. That's what we're hoping to foster. So if you've just been wanting to and holding back, whatever we can do to help promote you to take that next step, just let us know, and we're in.
Absolutely.
And for those of y'all that do watch later on or whenever, like it, share it, tell people about it. We love more people participating. So
absolutely, that's the whole idea, is to talk to people and debate everything.
Yep.
See you next week.
You got some shit that nobody we'll let you talk about. We'll do it.
Yep. Sounds good.
And I'll tell you how wrong you are. No. All right, yeah, for sure. I'm out. Y'all have a good one. Good night. We appreciate it. See you next week.
Awesome. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye. Oh, look at that. Victor, who was watching the live stream, you missed some stuff, man. What's going on, brother? Sorry about that. Just to be clear, that wasn't the one I was keeping track of. We will do a better job next week. I promise. I'll look at this. Yeah, commenting on a lot of the stuff we were saying. That's totally awesome. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And before next week, I will verify with you if you want credit for posting on, and if you want us to use a different name, and we will give you a shout out on the next show for posting. We really appreciate it. Have a great night. We'll see y'all later.